Hey everyone and welcome back. So today we have another advent calendar. Today we have a Smurf themed advent calendar. Now this advent calendar was surprisingly expensive for the size and what it is. It didn't really show much details about what was inside, so I really wanted to have a little look at what was inside and see if it is actually worth the money. I think when I got it, it was around £30ish on Amazon, which is quite expensive, so I just wanted to see what kind of items were included and if they are worth the money. Now we can see straight away we do have ages 3 to 99, so I assume there are some small parts included. We do have kind of it following a sequence, but then it does kind of scatter around. We can see it goes 4, 6, there is a 5 down here, but the smaller numbers are at the top and the bigger numbers are at the bottom, so we are going to have a little look. We do have some Smurfs dotted around. We do have some information on the sides, and then on the back we do have the countdown calendar. We have 24 gifts, and we can see again some more of the Smurfs included. So we're just going to take the plastic cover off, and then we'll start opening the windows and see kind of what we are looking at getting inside, because even the box doesn't seem to give any indication of that, which I think is really odd. Sorry for all the noise. But yeah, I do think it's really odd for an advent calendar not to give kind of any information about what's inside at all. So we're just going to start off with door number 1. Now I'm not a huge fan of the Smurfs, so I'm not going to know a lot of the Smurfs names. But it looks like we are starting off quite strong with a figure. We do have this little Smurf. We can see the paint and details are quite nice. We have a white hat. We have some little glasses, and he's pulling quite an angry expression. And we do have him holding a little book there. So they are little figures so far. And let's see, he does also stand up, which is quite nice. Moving on to door number 2. We have the Smurfette, I believe. She's got a little white hat and bright yellow hair. And we do have this white dress and kind of like white heeled shoes on as well. And it looks like she's sniffing a little kind of buttercup flower. Now there is some kind of paint under the nose. It's quite difficult to see, but you can see there is like a little bit of white under there. Now what it looks like in like actual view is that the nose is being super glued on, so I'm not sure if it's actually broken or not, or if that's just kind of how the mould sits, but it does look like the nose is being super glued on, and that does take away from the face a little bit as well. And we can see that character does also stand up. Number 3 is very small, so I'm guessing it's not a character. And it looks like we do have kind of like a jungle hat Smurf, and there is kind of like a sticky bottom, so it looks like it would kind of stick to a flat surface if it was wet. We can see it does kind of sit there. It's not very strong at all. The suction's not very great. Even after I've licked it, it doesn't really seem to want to stick to the table. It is made of a flimsy like rubber material. I think a better bet for this would have been taking it off the base, putting a keyring on the top and making it into a keyring rather than a base that doesn't really stick. So that's a little disappointing. Back on to number 4, looks like we have another figure size one. And we do have the Papa Smurf, I believe. He's got a bright red hat and pants on. We have this big white bushy beard, and he's holding his hands behind his back. So I am interested to see if this does pull him over or if he's still able to stand, because he's got quite a lot of weight on the back side of the figure. So let's see. And it looks like he does stand up. So far the figures are doing really good standing up wise. It's these little ones that I'm a little bit unsure about. This is where it kind of loses its value. The figures are nice, they are only small, but these kind of little bits take away from the charm of it for me. So we do have a stamp. We can see we've got a Smurf in like a jumper, he's got gloves on, shoes on, and if we can have a little look at the stamp, it does kind of have that character. I'm just seeing if I have any paper, but I don't think I do. So it does have that character as a stamp. Let's see if I can get some paper, because I want to see if it actually works. So I do have a little to-do book here. I'm just ripping a page out of that because I do really want to try it. So we do have a little kind of to-do list down here. We're just going to pop it flat on the table, push down on the stamp, maybe too hard, and then we're just going to do it a bit more lightly. And this is what kind of happens. So if I push down too hard, it does smudge. If you push down too light, it does lose some of its details on its foot. And then this, I pushed it down lightly and rocked it, and it did kind of come out quite nice. But again, I don't really see how often this is going to get used. It does bleed through on paper as well to the other side. It's not super thin paper, but it's also not super thick, so I kind of imagine that it would. But I do think it's just kind of gonna just collect dust to one side. I do like the figures better. I think they're like higher quality, but the other parts are letting it down. We have a little garden Smurf with a little kind of straw hat, green dungarees and brown shoes, and he's also holding a little shovel. The shovel is bendy, so it's not going to snap if it does kind of get pushed on or bent in any way. It is quite flexible, which is nice as well. And we are up to number 7. Again, this one looks quite small. And it looks like we do have a magnet. So we have this little Smurf running. We can see he's got a little heart tattoo, a little shield on his shirt and some shorts on. And it looks like he's kind of running like a race or a marathon or something like that. And we do have the magnet on the back. So again, a little more useful than the others. It kind of is a decorative piece. But again, not something personally I'd use too much. We do have number 8 here, and number 8 is quite large. And we do have another figure. We have a Smurf again, the white and the white hat and the white trousers. Very, very happy expression, and he is holding out a gift. Birthday gift, Christmas gift. It's not very themed, it's just a yellow with red ribbons and a red bow. But again, the stance looks like it is going to distribute the weight and stand up, but we will double check. It is a bit more wobbly, but it is a very, very cool design. So we're just going to pop him up there. Up to number 9, we are on a small one again. This time we do have a Smurf sleeping. Got a little pillow behind him. It does have a little ring on the back here. I assume it's to go on a pencil. I only have pens around which look like they're way too thick to go on there. Maybe on the kind of back end of this pen, but it's way too thick for it to go around, and it's quite difficult to do. So I'm not too sure about maybe a thin pencil, but it does look even very small for a pencil. So again, yeah, a little bit useless for me. We do have our villain, and I can't remember his name, it's going to drive me mad. We have the kind of black cloak and gown. We have some little patches painted on. Now this isn't raised or anything on the model, so it's not, you can't feel a texture there. It is just painted on, which is a little bit disappointing. But there is some kind of little like cut bits in the cloth at the bottom, which is nice. He's got these bright brown boots on. And again, we have a bald top with hair at the back, which is textured, which is really nice. And we do have the facial features. Again, the paint job is pretty nice so far on all of the figures. They do seem a nice quality for the size. I just think the other parts seem to be letting the theme of it down, especially for the price. Next up, we do have a keyring. And again, we have a Smurf. We've got a little kind of flower in the top. A little bit more useful. You can just pop these on your keys, bags, things like that. Number 12 is next, which is another little figure. And we do have the villain's cat. Again, we have these little cut out bits in the plastic mould on the ear, which is nice. It just really adds to the detail of the figure. We have a white bottom as well that's been painted. Very cool. We'll put them together. That was number 12. We're up to 13, which again seems like a little one. This one is a wristband, and if we scroll around the band you can see there are different Smurfs included, different designs. It is bright blue, it's clear on the inside. It does have a little bit of give in it, but not too much, and it is just a wristband. 14, we have another figure. This one I really like. We have the little tired Smurf. Now this one, the patch is actually in the plastic, so it is raised up, it's not just printed on, which I think is a really nice detail. We also have some of the, it's hard to see on camera, but we do have some of the like ruffles on the pillow, which is really nice. And we have the little Smurf yawning. Up to number 15, we do have a little thing from the seller, which is about a prize, and we do also have our magnet. Again, a very funky design for the magnet. I love that the cake's kind of fallen off the plate. You see the little magnet placed on the back. Very cool. We have 16 up next. Again, it's another stamp. This one looks like more of a cool dude stamp. So let's get our little piece of paper, put it on there lightly, and that is what the stamp looks like. Kind of got his hand in his pocket, a little bit more cool dude-esque than the bottom one. Again, not my favourite with the stamps. I think they're quite like cheap for the calendar compared to the figures. We do have this Smurf eating cake. And I love that he's got cake all around his mouth. He's got it on the bib underneath there, on the ends of his fingers. I think it's super adorable. Very cool. Again, he does stand up, which is great. We have number 18, which is a little grumpy Smurf charm. So these like phone charms, or you can even put them around your bag handles, things like that. Little grumpy Smurf. Number 19, we have a little worker Smurf who's got a little pencil in his mouth. He's got these bright blue dungarees on and a little hammer in the other hand, thinking about what project we're going to do next. Very cute. We might actually have our first one that doesn't stand up as well. Yeah, so this one does not stand up at all. There is a bit on the back of the shoe here which is raised, which seems to be like pushing it over. It's not flat at all. So if we do try and stand them up, they do fall over. So that's the first one to have done that so far. Number 20, we do have a little eraser or a rubber here in the UK of Smurfette with a little flower. Number 21, we have a little plastic clip on the back. Be used to like hold papers together, things like that. And we do have a little Smurf holding a book as well. Again, I don't think it's the best quality, but at least it has a function. Number 22 is another figure. We can see there is a baby Smurf with blocks, and on the blocks we have number 1, 2 and 3, and they're stacking blocks, which is very adorable. I do think the paint job kind of went to slip a little bit here on the fingers. You can see the yellow running off onto the hand. which is a little off-putting because obviously it is a solid block. It's not like food or anything, so I think the care with this one kind of slipped a little. So we'll pop that one down. We are on to our last two. 23 is another one of these. Very disappointing. They don't really stick. They're very, very flimsy. I think they would have just been better as key rings in my opinion. They don't seem to have much of a function. And finally, finishing with 24, we have our final Smurf. We've got a little flower on the top. We have a little mirror, them looking quite vainly at themselves. And again, we have the iconic white top and trousers. So very, very cute. And the final figure does stand on his own. So we're just going to pop the little bribery notes and the box to one side. And I do really like the figures. I think if you were a fan of the Smurfs, you would really enjoy these figures too. They are fairly good weight. They're a nice little size. They all seem to be the same as one another. Like no Smurf seems to be much smaller than the rest of them. They are all the same size, which makes them look like they go together as a set. I like that the villain is a little bit bigger as well, just to fit in the advent calendar, but still make it a bit more like the actual show, where the villain is much bigger than the Smurfs. And I love that the villain also got his little cat as well, which is what I remember from the show. I do think there's a lot of irrelevant junk in the rest of it. I'm a bit gutted that this one doesn't stand up as well. I think that really... Oh, we have managed to get him to stand up, but he is very wobbly. Like, this foot is not on the floor. So you can balance it maybe on the hammer, but it is quite difficult to do. The phone charm and key rings, I think you could get some use out of. You could put them on bags, keys, purses, things like that. But there are some items, I think, like these. The clip, the magnets are okay. I think it's a pencil topper, but it looks very, very small, and it is very, very firm, so it's going to be difficult to use. The stamps and even the rubber, I think, and maybe even the wristband, bring the quality of the advent calendar down, because they don't really have much use, and they would just kind of maybe go in the bin, or not really get used at all. Maybe the clip, but it does just seem like it's been glued onto a clip. It's got no kind of design. I would have liked if the clip was at least blue to match the Smurf theme, but there was a few bits that were like just a little lackluster for me. But the figures I did really enjoy. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you a fan of the Smurfs? Is this a calendar that you would have liked? And would you have paid around £30 for it? Because I do think it's still a little bit expensive. But I do really like the figure quality as well. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. And I'll be back again soon. Bye.